I learn here and where I learn matters.
I learn here and where I learn matters. I want my school to be healthy.
I learn here and where I learn matters.
I learn here and where I learn matters.
We learn here and where we learn matters.
A healthy school gets you ready to learn.
It teaches you about the environment. I learn here and where I learn matters.
I think every kid deserves a healthy school.
When I get big, I'm going to clean up the whole earth. I'm going to be a trash man. Because I don't want the whole earth to be dead.
We learn here and where we learn matters.
I'm Rachel Gutter, the director of the Center for Green Schools. In the late 17th century, Sir Isaac Newton developed the theory of gravitation after observing an apple falling from a tree. Ever since, apples have been associated with new thinking that changes the world. Changing the world is exactly what we at the Center for Green Schools and our partners aim to do through the Green Apple Initiative. This is our partner, Mary.
Hi, my name is Mary Cullinane, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Corporate Affairs and Social Responsibility for Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt. But more importantly, I was a former history teacher who started teaching when I was 22 years old, and my students were 17-year-old seniors.
And this is our partner, George.
Hi, I'm George Bandy, Vice President of Sustainability Strategy for Interface. More importantly, I'm a father of 2 autistic children who have taught me the meaning of where we learn and why it matters.
We created Green Apple to be more than a brand. We created Green Apple to launch a movement that puts every student in a safe, healthy, and efficient school that inspires better learning. The typical parent, when asked about what constitutes a quality education, will talk about the importance of the who and the what, the teachers and the curriculum, but very few will ever mention the where. And the where matters. Our students need clean air to breathe, daylight to see by, and a place that inspires better learning. Research has shown that better air quality improves teacher and student health, that quality acoustics improve retention, that daylight increases focus, and that thermal comfort increases productivity. We created Green Apple knowing that optimized learning environments do more than support a great education. They enhance it. And as parents, teachers, taxpayers, and corporate leaders, there is so much that we can do to improve the places where our children learn and our teachers teach.
We chose Green Apple because as corporate leaders, we know that education matters. We know that we need to hire smart folks, and we know that that happens when they go to great schools. We also know that the problem is way too complex for any single solution, any piece of technology, any piece of content to truly change the teaching and learning process. It needs a holistic solution. At HMH, we partnered with Green Apple because they represented the idea that it's going to take more than just simple technology innovation. It's going to take a serious look at where kids are learning.
It's no longer okay to privatize the wealth and socialize the risk. Investors, shareholders, employees, teachers, and even Mother Nature has begun to ask us, the most powerful and pervasive group, to begin to look at things differently, to make a difference, a better way with our future. Green Apple is a cause marketing strategy with far-reaching impacts and a great ROI on multiple levels: our future leaders, our future employees, our future customers, and the list goes on.
Where we learn matters. Kids aren't really different than you and I. We want to spend our days in places that are healthy, safe, and comfortable, where we have clean air to breathe, daylight to see, and a place where, put simply, we feel valued. High-performing schools produce high-performing students. When it comes to our children's future, Education anchors their ability and motivation to succeed in tomorrow's complex world.
In one of my previous positions, I was asked to build the school of the future in West Philadelphia. I thought it would be a good idea to ask 14th, 7th graders 2 years before they were to arrive what they wanted in the school of the future. Pretty sure that I just asked the dumbest question, and I was going to be putting Xboxes and iPads in bathrooms. To the kids, 14 of them said, "We want to be safe." It was at that moment that I realized that if we truly want to build schools of the future, we have to think beyond the traditional questions that we're asking ourselves. We have to make sure that kids feel secure and have environments that address their health needs, their physical needs, as well as their intellectual needs. Where we learn matters.
I'd ask for you just for a second, just close your eyes. Some of you are already asleep. I want you to think for a second where you innovate best, where you relax best, where you're most comfortable, where you're most creative. Open your eyes. It probably wasn't behind a cubicle with 2 laptops on the desk. It was somewhere connected to outdoors. Newton's 4th law, in an ironic way, happened outside. Kids don't have that privilege very often anymore. So I want you to think about that Apple experience that Newton had. We have to be connected to nature, not detached from it. The vision for a healthier, smarter, more natural place for children to be able to learn brings us in connection with the works of E.O. Wilson and Janine Benyus and others who talked about nature already designing things and creating conditions conducive for our more productive lives before we even arrived.
This is a matter of legacy. I come from 3 generations of educators. My grandmother taught in a one-room schoolhouse. My mother just retired after more than 20 years of service to our local school district. She has permanent respiratory damage from being inside of airless, mold-ridden, toxin-laden classrooms. And she's not alone. The GAO estimates that more than 15,000 schools in the United States have air that is unfit to breathe. Asthma is the leading cause of disease-related absenteeism in U.S. public schools. In some communities, it actually ranks as an epidemic. My sister is a freshly minted teacher outside of Boston who spends 8 to 10 hours a day in her classroom. I don't think that she should have to teach in a school that makes her sick, where she and her fellow teachers suffer from what they call the 2:30 headache, a function of being in the school building for a full day. I certainly don't think that her students should have to learn in an environment that makes them ill, where they use their inhalers 3 times a day. I don't think that they should have to go to school in places that get in the way of their education and their dreams for a brighter future. Every teacher and every child deserves to go to a school that is healthy, safe, and supports great learning.
At Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt, we get legacy. We're a 180-year-old publishing company. We have published Emerson and Thoreau and Hawthorne and Virginia Woolf. We get the idea of what you leave behind is important. We all recognize that as business leaders. This is our chance to improve our legacy.
Last year, the Commit Forum honored our fallen leader, Ray Anderson, who passed. Thank you for that. A little bit of interface was lost during that time. I feel like we lost or skipped a heartbeat during that particular era. Mr. Anderson had a way of speaking of tomorrow's child and challenging us to embrace our own individual spears in our own chests. I'm asking you to embrace that spear today and challenging you to be an outward reflection of Mr. Anderson's inner grace. And I want to challenge you to go beyond being a good program, good individual, or good company to actually leaving a legacy that's meaningful and worthwhile for future generations to be better.
We hope you'll join us. We see an opportunity to educate a new generation of sustainability natives, students who intuitively make decisions to use what they need as opposed to what they can. We see an opportunity to put dollars back into the classroom where they belong. The typical green school saves $100,000 a year in direct operating expenses. That's enough to hire 2 teachers, purchase 200 computers, or 5,000 textbooks. The opportunities are huge, but so are the challenges that we face. There are 133,000 K-12 schools. There are 4,300 colleges and universities in this country. The cost just to bring them up to working order is $400 billion. We can't do this alone. So if your company aims to advance sustainability, education, or health, we hope that you'll join us.
25% of all Americans in some way or another are involved in education. At every executive meeting I attend, people say to me, we can't scale things. If you want to address scale, this is your chance. Make a commitment.
A long time ago, when I was a young man, I used to watch this guy. He was the last person I would see on those 3 channels before they went off late at night, and he would say he wanted me. At this point, I'd like to turn that finger to you and say, we want you to engage in the process. Understand that future generations are looking for us to lead, and don't be the person that has to look in that mirror and say that I did not leave a legacy for future generations to be able to enjoy the same luxuries that I was able to enjoy in the classroom.
We hope you'll join us.
Where we learn matters.
This is our legacy.
This is our legacy. Thank you.
Thank you.